Good morning, Mindcrafters, and welcome to another exciting discussion today. Another Mindcraft discussion on all things well-being. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and it is my pleasure to entertain a conversation today on 6 tips to not only survive the holidays, but actually thrive through the holidays. And we're not talking just surviving is good, obviously, but living is just way better than just surviving and getting through because our life minutes are just too valuable. We can't get them back. A lot of people don't get that. Like, it's cliche and we say it, but they're not really getting that this exact moment on December the 22nd is never coming back again. I mean, it's like it's real. And so, 6 tips. I'm going to leave the last two, or no, sorry, I was going to say the most important two for last with intention. Big about intention, right? And we're going to talk about the first 4, and they come from, I have to give a big shout out to Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote the 4 Agreements, because that's where those are coming from. And I actually just was inspired with this morning. I don't even know where my book is because we've been doing a reno up here. And anyway, so it's coming straight from the vault because I actually live with these 4 agreements in mind, and also to the best that I can, right? We're not striving for perfect, we're striving for progress. Always progress, a little better than yesterday, whatever it is we're talking about. Okay, so the first one is to be impeccable with your words. So we're going to put this, if you've heard my other videos, we're going to take that though and move them to the holidays, because within the context of just this very wonderful, joyful, also sometimes can be nutty and chaotic season, this is a great fit. I'm so excited to talk about this in case you can't tell. Okay, so impeccability. So it actually literally means without sin. So something getting between us and the source, right? No, you can hang up on me. We're not going in a religion area. I don't do that. Remember, I don't even like people that preach and stuff, unless it's their calling, like, Father Mike and the Eddies. That's totally different. But we're talking about just being exact with your word. That's what we're talking about. And I know myself, I slip into this. We all do, right? Especially when we're excited or it can be a different emotion. We're pissed and we're just rattling things off. It's easy to say things that we really don't mean, or sometimes we mean them, but not with the intensity that we're saying them. And then they can come off as, really, really bad and hurtful and stuff. When we are impeccable with our word, we really are precise with our words. It's just such a drama preventer. It really, really is. We can really, and that's about, of course, hitting the pause button. So, not to just, if we're really thinking about saying a pause button and then don't say it, or say it, but say it with more precision, and there'll be a lot fewer issues over the holiday season. So that's the first one. The second one is my favorite out of the 4, which is don't take things personally. It's so easy. Yet we can actually go into Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's, or say Hanukkah already went by, but let's say for next year, for Hanukkah also, to go into it choosing or deciding that I'm not going to be offended. And we don't have to look at it as weeks of that. We can look at it as there's one holiday dinner tonight. Let's say it's Hanukkah, or it's Christmas, or it's something else, or it's New Year's. I'm not going to be offended today. No matter what anybody says to me, I'm not going to be offended. And watch how much smoother the whole day or dinner goes. Because when we take things personally, it just doesn't go anywhere good. And here's the thing. We are all our own main characters in our own play. We are the authors of that script. So no matter what anybody says to you, even if your name is in it, in every single sentence, is about them. Like 98% of it is about them. And once we get that, it's so much easier to let it go, especially if people are being critical and they're judging. And just when we can sit back at the Christmas Eve dinner or whatever dinner it is, and just, even though they're saying little, oh, she still doesn't have a job, she still, or so-and-so's bragging about whatever, we can just realize that is 98, 99% about you. It has nothing to do with me. And once we can detach in our heads, we can take people, we can take them and let it, kind of let it just flow through us, like water, without attaching. And this is really the best way to go. There's so much peace in it, I can't tell you. I've gotten good at it because it's that's the agreement that's most important to me out of the four. I've gotten pretty good at it, though occasionally I also slip, and then I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I bit the hook. I felt that Shenpa rise, and I just reacted when I know that it's not to take it personally, because it isn't about me. And there's so much inner peace in that one, I can't tell you. Okay, so impeccability, drama preventer. These are all drama preventers, actually, and I don't do drama. I have like a force field. Anybody who knows me knows I just don't do drama. So be impeccable with your word really crushes that drama thing. Don't take things personally. Assumption making, especially as cognitive psych is my thing, the assumption making thing is huge. So here's the thing. We all make assumptions at some time or another, usually, well, frequently, because here's the thing. Making assumptions is actually natural. So it's good to be aware of it, because it's something we do kind of automatically, because the brain, as we discussed earlier, is lazy. Doesn't mean you are lazy as your character. The brain, however, is lazy. So assumptions are the brain's way of saving time. They're just time savers. They're shortcuts. So we take shortcuts and we jump from here and leapfrog over, the truth and the facts and get to here. And we make assumptions about all sorts of things. So it's the holidays. We're going to apply this specifically to the holidays. Oh, Aunt Tessie's going to come, and I'm just going to assume she's going to be so annoying, and she's going to she's going to bring up politics, and she's wrong about everything, and she doesn't fact check, and it's just going to annoy me. Or they're all going to they're going to be talking about the Rona again and go on and on and on. Or they're going to, and so-and-so is going to bring that horrible, casserole thing that she brings, and then, my brother's going to encourage me to eat whatever so-and-so brought, 'cause it's going to hurt his wife's feelings, and assumptions, all holiday stuff. Try your best not to do that, because again, that is the brain, that is the brain being in charge instead of you being the boss of your brain. Try not to make assumptions. They're just shortcuts. Once we understand that, believe it or not, the brain is smart, and as intelligent as we all are, the brain is actually very easily tricked. Very easily tricked. And so once we get on that, once we become aware of how the brain works, like I was kind of saying in the last video, even if the brain doesn't get you as excited as it does me, as excited as it does for me. I mean, I could just talk about brain and limbic systems and neurons all day long and have not one bored second. Even if it's not your thing to dive in at that level, and it doesn't get you as excited as it gets me, to have a basic understanding of the brain is essential. Honestly, I would like to see it I would like to see brain education start at the kindergarten level, obviously with their own language, and the whole mindfulness thing and gratitude thing, all of it. Like, start teaching it in pre-K, what they can absorb with a plastic brain and everything. Okay, so don't make assumptions. Just say no to making assumptions. When you feel yourself, or think, you feel the thought, you feel the thoughts. When you become aware of your thoughts, that you're starting to make assumptions while you're sitting there at the dinner table, you have one raised eyebrow, and you're like, realize, just catch yourself, and then sit back with a Cheshire cat grin, and say, and just privately in your head, I'm not doing that. Okay, I'm not doing that. And then, you'll have a better time. Okay, the last one of those four from Don Miguel Ruiz's 4 agreements is always do your best. This is so important. We can adjust that bar. You might not feel well mentally or physically, or both. You might not feel great, and you're like, man, I'm not in the mood for all the dynamics tonight at the dinner. I'm just not in the mood for it, right? Then just say, okay, I'm going to do my best. Come up with some strategies to get out of Dodge or whatever. Know that so-and-so, if they might be annoying, we don't want to assume, just know that I am going to do my best with this. If you're hosting and you haven't done the whole thing before with all the cooking and everything, I'm going to do my best. There are worse things than burning a lasagna. I mean, it can have a backup dinner. You know what I mean? Have some pasta. People will survive it. Even if some of the fancy stuff gets burned, just to have a backup plan. It's okay. It's just food. We're grateful to have it. And if it doesn't go as well, or the cake falls, or whatever fancy stuff doesn't work out, so what? You gave it a go. Who cares? It's about the company we're keeping anyway. And people also understand because, especially if you're in the seasoned range, you've done it before. If you've hosted or brought some fabulous dish, and things don't always work out. I forget what I was doing once. The propane was out because my husband. So his only job. His only job is checking the propane. Propane goes out, and you end up using the grill. That's happened. So just go with the flow. Okay, so we have be impeccable with your words. Say what you mean what you say. It's a big drama cruncher. Okay, don't take things personally. Why? Because it isn't. Even when it feels like it is. You feel that Shempa rising. Just deep breaths. Okay, it's not about me. No matter how much they're saying it is, it isn't. It's about them. Anybody's being critical or judgmental, that says everything about them. Because something's missing inside of them in that moment, anyway. And they're feeling the need to elevate themselves at someone else's expense. And the feeling that they need to be right. So let them be right. Who cares? Who cares? Take the high road. And then we have don't make assumptions. That doesn't usually go well for us. Be like Sherlock Holmes and fact check in your head while you're sitting across saying, pass the mashed potatoes. Fact check, okay? No assumption making. And then always do your best. So huge. Okay, now the last two really should be the first two. I like to say should. I put them at the end on purpose. Because the mindfulness and gratitude thing, because here's the thing with the mindfulness piece. If we are being in the present moment, which is all we have, the assumption making, the taking things personally, none of that's going to happen. If we're in the moment, in this moment, we're not what ifing, we're not overthinking, we're not catastrophizing. The not Tessie's going to annoy the heck out of me. We're not doing any of that if we're actually in the moment. And then the other one, the biggie, is gratitude, because when we are walking around with a grateful heart in this moment, so more grateful today than yesterday. We're not talking about making anything big and huge. More grateful today than yesterday. When we're walking around thinking about being grateful for our eyesight and our health, and that our spine's intact, that the people we care about around us are all healthy, that we're able to be at whatever dinner it is, even if somebody is annoying there. When we have all that gratitude going on, the chances of us getting irritated over something small are significantly reduced, because all of that can't reside in a grateful heart. It's just true. Gratitude is the fastest way to happy that there could possibly be. And of course, mindfulness and gratitude go together like peas and carrots. So there are your 6 tips to have a fabulous, fabulous remainder of the holiday season. We've got Christmas Eve and Christmas coming, New Year's Eve, and then next year I'm going to do a deeper plunge into Hanukkah. It kind of went so fast I just didn't catch up with it. So I'm going to do that next year for sure. So happy, merry. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful, grateful day without assumption making.